Start finding your seats. There's water in the back, and I think everybody knows where the bathrooms are, but if you want to start taking your seats, we'll get going in a minute. And while they get the PowerPoints loaded, I'll do an introduction in another minute or two, and then we'll cut the question and answer short at the end as we go. Okay, thank you. I want to welcome everybody for coming today. While we put the finishing touches on presentations and load them into the computer and get everything situated there, I'll start off with a little bit of housekeeping and a little bit of introductions. I'm Tim Ramberg, St. Croix County Highway Commissioner, and I'm also the WCA Treasurer. As you can tell, and if you read in the booklet, is we all are highway commissioners, and so we do get together once a month for our leadership meetings, and so we have worked together, and we also have passion towards what we do. I know you don't get that a lot, and some of the things we do, it's really an exciting business. And when you talk construction and some of the things that we do, some of us are a little jumpy, and some more of us are a little more calm. So you might see me, tell them about this, tell them about that. So I'll try not to do that a whole lot to these guys. And what we'll do is we're going to go 20 minutes each, and then we'll take just a couple questions in between each. And then if we run out of time, I'll flag you. And then we'll take the remainder of the questions at the end, because we should have about 10 minutes at the end for question and answers then for any of our three panelists. One thing that's in the text that we're not going to touch base with our speakers is the MOU. It's called the Memorandum of Understanding. And that is different entities in Wisconsin in the transportation industry, i.e. in this case, it's the WCHA, the Wisconsin County Highway Association, WSDOT, with our Secretary Gottlieb, and then the TBA, the Transportation Builders Associations. And Secretary Gottlieb has got his eyes on him in the nation as a cohesive conversation among the three entities. It's a broad parameters, and we're talking about funding together, talking about initiatives together, and talking about things that need to be done with the funds we have. And that's what that MOU is about, and we work within those memorandums of understanding. So we're not going to specifically speak on the subject today. I just wanted to introduce that as one of the things that we operate under. And with that, I'll start with the introductions. First, we're going to start with Chad. Chad is the Pierce County Highway Commissioner. Chad has worked in the transportation field in Wisconsin for over 20 years. He started as engineering co-op student with the DOT. He's also worked for a bridge contractor and a grading contractor, building projects across Wisconsin and Minnesota. Chad is in his 7th year as the Pierce County Highway Commissioner. The department performs full maintenance services as well as grading, paving, crushing, and small structure operations. Chad is the Assistant Treasurer for the Wisconsin County Highway Association and the Secretary of our Safety and Training Committee. And Chad's going to be speaking about project communication. And then we're going to have Greg Schnell with the Sheboygan County Transportation Department. And Greg has worked in the county government for the past 26 years, especially working at the highway departments in Manitowoc and Sheboygan County. And currently, Greg is the Sheboygan County Transportation Director. He manages all the operations of the Sheboygan County Transportation Department, including operations for the Highway Division and Airport Division. The Highway Division is made up of 87 employees and is a full construction operation as well as maintenance for over 450 miles of the county system. And remember, we have different layers of systems that we work with in Wisconsin, being the only state that we're aware of that the county highway departments take care of the federal, state, and U.S. highways as well as other maintenance systems. And the airport division has 4 employees, and Greg is currently the Wisconsin County Highway Association Utility Committee Chair, and he's on the WCHA Conference Coordinating Committee and the WCHA Board of Directors representing the Northeast region. And Greg's going to be speaking about the complicated multi-jurisdictional project that he had that has a lot of different layers in it and the communication efforts that took place. Then we have Bruce, who's going to follow up, and Stelzner has been serving as a public works professional in both Wisconsin city and county governments for over 30 years. And since 1990, he served as the Chippewa County Highway Commissioner. And Commissioner Stelzner has previously served as the president of Wisconsin County Highway Association and the state director at the National Association of County Engineers. He currently is a member of the National Association of Counties Transportation and Steering Committees, and additionally represents Wisconsin County Highway Association, Chippewa County, on numerous statewide boards and committees. And Commissioner Stelzner is also a member of the Federal Highway Administration's and Wisconsin Department of Transportation's Innovative Council of Wisconsin. And guess what? What he's going to be speaking to is every day counts. It's the term that the FHWA has brought forward in delivery, safety, congestion, environment, all those innovations. So we have quite a mix of speakers up here, and I just wanted to introduce all of them right now, and then I'll introduce them each as they speak. And the first one is Chad Johnson from Pierce County Highway Department on project communication. Chad?
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. I'm loaded up, Dan?
Yep.
Okay.
You should be good to go.
All right. Dan asked me to participate in this panel, and I honestly had to ponder for quite a while what I was going to talk about. I knew what Greg was going to talk about. I knew what Bruce was going to talk about, so I needed something a little different. And project communications came to me one day, so I put together a little presentation about that. Where's my title on the top, Dan? Anyway, okay, the top title is in quotes. It didn't show up there. But I need to get to ... And if you've ever worked on a road project, which these guys have, if you're standing at the end of the project by the barricade, a car will come up to you, no matter how many advanced signs you have that the road is closed, but I need to get to. So how do we, as highway commissioners, communicate to the public in advance, both long-term and short-term, about our projects so that people know they can't use the road? It becomes safer for our workers and safer for them. Okay, these views are mine personally, not the views of the Pierce County Highway Department or the Wisconsin Counties Association. But these are my assessments of today's highway travelers, today's highway users. They're busy. They're busy in their lives. They're busy while they're driving. Phones, cell phone use, eating, putting on makeup, etc. They're busy all the time. Most often, impatient. They have to get somewhere. They're not out joyriding. They're going somewhere. They're going to work. They're going to something for their kids. They're going to a social event. They want to get there using the shortest route. Inflexible. People get comfortable with their routes, and even in their own communities don't know their own alternate routes that they could use. That's just the nature of the traveler. They get in their routine. This is the way they go to work every day. When you disrupt that, you're disrupting their lives back to being impatient and busy. Reliant on GPS if they're non-local. We find this especially with trucking outfits in Pierce County, people attempting to make deliveries from out of town. They really rely on the GPS. So they're going to miss your signs that you have out because they're headed to a certain spot. This is what GPS is telling them. This is the way they have to go. Pierce County. Who knows where Pierce County is? All right, good. I think we're the westernmost county, the way we stick out into the Mississippi River. But we are essentially a fringe county of the Twin Cities metro area. So a lot of people that live in Pierce County work in the Twin Cities. And they are exposed to staged construction. In other words, the road never closes, the bridge never closes, there's always a lane made for them. So when they're in Pierce County and they're faced with a full road closure, they don't know what to do. They question our office, hey, why Why aren't you doing this bridge half at a time? Why aren't you doing this road half at a time? It boils down to money and the return on investment. So anyone with a county near a metro area, the metro travelers are exposed to stage construction that never presents a detour. So I thought about, is there a perfect way to notify people about projects, both long-term and short-term? What is the appropriate level of notification? Again, you're talking about local and non-local travelers. So your non-local travelers aren't going to be reading your local paper. They might be looking at your county website, maybe not. So you've got two different audiences to try to communicate this stuff to. Schedules change rapidly on highway projects due to weather, due to contractor or county operations. Contractors are performing work, counties self-perform work. You can't nail the schedule down 5 days a week, perfect, everything's going to happen at a certain time. So that presents another challenge to a long-term notification. Funding. We talk about a 5-year plan at Pierce County. That often turns into a 10-year plan. So how much notification do you give about a project if you don't know if you can fund it in the year you've just told everyone? Resources. For short-term notifications, the signs, the manpower, the return on investment. You can make a whole bunch of signs, and then the schedule changes. Maybe it's a short-term project. You don't spend 2 days putting up signs for a one-day project. So there's all these little intricacies to notifying people about projects. I sent out a survey via the WCA, Wisconsin County Highways Association, and 44 counties graciously responded to my survey. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Tim, for responding. Greg, still waiting for yours. Hey, you know what? 44 out of 72 is pretty good because I don't respond to all of them I get either. So it was really helpful in preparing this. Keep me on time, too. All right. All right, we're going to kind of go high-tech to low-tech. I'm going to go through the order. I'm going to go through the different options I gave the guys and gals about how they communicate their project. Okay, so who in the room is on Facebook? Quite a few. Okay. Facebook is not just for glorifying the Packers or letting your friends know what you had for supper. You can do business things with Facebook. Only 13 counties of the 44 use Facebook. And some have their own highway page. Some use their county Facebook page. And then some use their sheriff's department page, which is what we do at Pierce County. You can see I put up an example of a pipe we did on County Road Double B. Sheriff got ambitious. She had a guy drive a truck out and take a picture of it, so she had a little picture to put with it. It's instant information, can be updated quickly, but it's limited to those that are connected to that Facebook user, to the friends of the sheriff's department, friends of the county, friends of the highway department. One county that responded that they don't use Facebook because of records retention challenges. It's a public record, so it has to be available for 7 years, according to this other county, if I'm saying that right. I use the sheriff's department Facebook page because I think it reduces the potential for snarky comments made back to the highway department. If you hide behind the sheriff, it's worked out really well. So 13 counties out of the 44 use Facebook. County website, 38 counties. This is the most utilized out of all the options I gave the counties. The picture, I don't expect you to be able to read the picture there, but that is from Walworth County's website. Their county website sent to me by Kevin Bruner. Very nice. I mean, it's got graphics on it, explains the project. A county website is easy access for local and non-local citizens 24 hours a day. They can go on it whenever they want. Our IT department takes care of our county website. So if I want something changed, I do have to do it within business hours with them. The update we use is just a Word document, not as fancy as Walworth's. I did ask our IT department, hey, how many people even look at my page on the county website, and they couldn't tell me they don't have whatever they need to track hits. But you know what? If 1 or 2 people read it and they avoid the project, it's worth it for me to type a few minutes every week and put that up. The other thing I'm looking to do with project communications is reduce phone calls to the office. It's just easier on the gals so they can do their work and they don't have to be constantly asking questions. If I've reduced phone calls to the office, I feel like I've done my job communicating projects. Local media. Some larger counties have, like Bruce in Chippewa Valley, he has access to, say, TV and radio, a little bigger market. Pierce County, we get the Twin Cities media, so they're not going to cover a little county highway project. But I do utilize the local paper for more long-term things, not the week-to-week. That is one disadvantage of the newspaper is, it can't be changed. It's out there. If the schedule changes, if you're trying to do weekly updates, that's not a good method. 34 counties use local media. Good working relationship with the reporters is helpful, which I feel we have in Pierce County. He likes to come talk to me in January, though, and end of January, we still haven't quite nailed down our schedules yet, our projects. So some of the things that get in there get bumped out. So, it gives people a general idea. I wouldn't say we can be held 100% to what's in the paper in January, what we're going to get done during the summer. TV and radio, you can do more daily or weekly things. Project information meeting. How many have attended a project information meeting in their county? Okay, good. These are required for any project with federal funding. Usually reserved for larger projects. You're not going to do a project information meeting for a pipe replacement. It has to occur, according to one of my designers, prior to the Section 106 for archaeology and historical investigation. And all you need to know about that is it's early, really early. So we find in Pierce County our project information meetings are poorly attended because they are so far in advance, at least the required project information meeting. They're so far in advance of the actual construction that people don't attend. Also back to people being busy. You try to hold them in the evening when people are getting done with work, but I think people have so many things going on that project information meeting doesn't rise to the top. So what Kevin from Core Incorporated told me is the second meeting is likely necessary closer to construction, which we do sometimes we don't. Changeable message signs. Each county has a state-owned changeable message sign in their department that we can utilize for our own use, provided the state doesn't need it at the time. 29 counties use this as a way to notify people of projects. In Pierce County, we've had good luck with this because it does draw more attention than a static sign. We put it to target the daily commuters. Again, is an out-of-towner going to see this? Well, no, not until right up to the job. We try to put it out in advance, say a week or two. Bridge will be closed starting next week. Road will be closed starting next week. Give them a heads up. Let them plan. These are usually in association with a detour. One disadvantage is you get 8 characters per line, so you get really creative how you communicate, your information. You can have up to 3 screens. 3 screens gets a little long, so we try to keep our messages to 2 screens. We've had good luck with this, except when you're starting 3 bridges at the same time and you only have 1 sign. You pick the road with the most traffic on it and use it there. And it does require a decent shoulder, or say a field entrance to set it up. It does take up a little bit of space. Okay, temporary signs. This is your simple black text on an orange sign. Again, more so targeting your daily commuters. that run the route. Road will be closed, bridge will be closed, starting with a date. Not as easy to change. You gotta send it back to the sign shop and have them change the words. You can't just go out to the electronic sign and type in a new message. Again, they don't attract as much attention as the changeable message sign. Less expensive than the changeable message sign if you need multiple signs. So Pierce County typically doesn't use a lot of these. 26 counties do use temporary signage though for their projects. Direct correspondence. 33 counties use this method. Typically for affected residents and businesses, a direct mailing or mailbox stuffer. It can be very timely, especially if it is emailed. Some counties responded that at their project information meetings, they say they have people give them their email address and then they email them updates as the project progresses. I thought that was a pretty unique way of doing it. For this project, our County V project, which is what this letter was for, I had the college kid go out and stuff mailboxes to every resident on the road. Actually, I take that back. We mailed them to every address on the road. I said, hey, this project is coming up. We're going to be approaching you to purchase right away. If you want more information, contact me. Check out the county website. When it came time to acquire right away, I asked everyone, hey, did you get my notification or read it? No one read it. So for that project anyway, the direct correspondence was a fail for Pierce County. 33 counties do use it though. So those were the methods I offered up in the survey for people to use, and then I said, tell me any others that you use. Twitter was one county that uses that. That's another social media. Door-to-door contact, which is great if you can catch people when they're home, back to people being busy, hard to get a hold of. One county uses mass notification via their dispatch or their county emergency management. And then one county responded site visits, meaning I think they check out the job and they'll maybe talk to people on the job specifically. I think through the survey, served a couple purposes for me. I wondered if there was something I was missing out on, that I was doing wrong, some new method that I didn't know about. No, Pierce County uses most of those methods, actually all of them. And I was impressed that how many counties use multiple methods. I mean, across the board, they're using, 5 or 6 out of the 7 methods I proposed that they use. So that was good to know that people are using multiple methods. We're trying. We are. We genuinely try to help the traveling public and, get them around our projects so our guys can work safely and so they can get to where they're going, albeit a minor inconvenience. We have 2 seasons. You know what they are, winter and road construction. Sometimes they overlap. So any questions or comments about my portion of the presentation? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the information. I have one quick question. You said that you mailed that direct mailing to everyone on the address that was going to be impacted?
Yes.
And when you went back to the right-of-way issues, they hadn't read it?
Right.
Did you learn something from that? I mean, was it a riveting thing to something like you won't be able to get there from here, or you're going to have your house demolished? Did you give them some riveting thing that they might actually do?
I didn't make it dramatic, no. Maybe it was too far in advance of the project. Again, I go back to what's the perfect way. You want to be in advance of the project, but if you're too far in advance, people forget about it. Just like the signs. If there's a reason signs are spaced the way they are. If they're too far away, if they're 2,000 feet instead of 500, people forget. It's amazing. People forget. If you're out on the road, people come upon our works crews all the time, and the guys ask them, hey, didn't you see the signs? What signs? There's 3 of them. It's a little bit scary sometimes. So, I was disappointed about the letter, especially since I gave them my direct email at the county. Oh, and guess what? When you go to buy right away, then everyone's freaking out. Well, I'm trying to prevent that, and it didn't work. I even put in there, hey, if you're a rental or a renter at this property, give this to the property owner. I don't know. I have to find a different way of doing it next time, I guess.
Did your survey capture anything about using different methods for residences and businesses? Or
I left it open. I didn't say residence or business. I just said, how do you communicate your projects to people? So I think residence and business was covered, equally. I didn't distinguish between the two. One more? Can I take one more? One more.
You put a sign up, they don't see it. Turn it upside down. Everybody will stop and say, your sign's upside down. Put up a sign, spell something.
Misspell a word? I'll try that. I'll write that down on my methods. Okay, there'll be time at the end for questions too, so if you think of some more, hit me up later.
That is awesome. An educated idiot. That's it. That'll do it. Thank you, Chad. And next up we have Greg. And one of the things while Chad was talking about winter maintenance that we get a lot of time. How much time should I allocate for the storm? How much time, should I, to get to work? I tell people double your time. Double your time. And maybe that works, it isn't, but at least it's something. And Greg now is going to talk about the multi-jurisdictional project that he had, and I'll let Greg take over. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon. Hope we can entertain you a little bit and get you through this so after lunch you don't fall asleep. In Sheboygan County, we're blessed and we're also cursed. This is the bluff along Lake Michigan. Who all knows where the PGA was held this year? This is just north of that, where our issue has become. When I started in 2006, this was one of the first things that my staff had pointed out to me was the problem that we were having with this bluff erosion. This is about a 60-foot drop from where the road is here and these guardrail down to the top of the Lake Michigan. So it was one of those areas where I was extremely concerned about and how we were going to handle it. This is a 1937 aerial photograph of that area. In this particular, right here is County Trunk MM. This would be where the Whistling Straits is today. Back then it was a military camp. But they used to farm on this side of LS, on the lakeside. Today you can no longer do that. There was an orchard, different roads, that type of stuff. The reason I'm giving you this is that it's not about the whole jurisdictional transfer, but I think I need to provide you with some background on how we got to where we did. Back in 1851, we found some information that County Trunk LS, or back at that point there was no road names, they laid out a road that went from the city of Sheboygan north into Manitowoc County. Around by County Trunk MM, which I should get to my next area here, would be right in here. The county took over or rebuilt in 1956, or from FF north. In that time, we found a bunch of information regarding that slope, and it was unstable back at that point already. So there was certain alterations that were done in 1857, 1874, 1886, 1903, 1905, and 1916. And in 2023, when it was a State Highway 17, there was alterations done at that time, as well as in 1929. So that's a long time that there's been issues going on in this particular piece of road. In 2003, the Corps of Engineers, along with the Sheboygan County, had tried to do a bluff stabilization project. Right here you can see where all the white rock is, and then you see this little dip. 2 days prior to the dedication of this, that slid down over the top of that rock. So the revetment failed, hence the dedication was canceled as well. This particular section right here, which is about 450 feet long, maybe 500, cost $2.4 million. This revetment would have had to take place. I think the total footage, what we rebuilt was 1.3 miles. This is not me, by the way. For many years, it was thought to be that the wave action was causing this bluff erosion. And so we'd send our surveyor out and county administrator out with the surfboard and check it all out. And what we found out in the 1970s, that it was more had to do with the groundwater and the types of soils that were. So the groundwater was so heavy along the bluff, it would settle out, slide down, and as the wave did get higher, it would take some of that dirt along with it. This is what we found a couple days into our project. These little things here as the water pockets that are coming up along with that after we started stripping some topsoil. So we ran into about a mile of that throughout the whole project. In March of 2011, I received a phone call from the individual that owns this house right here. It's his summer home, and that's what happened to his backyard over the winter months. It dropped off about 3 feet. This was a month and a half later. That house is now moved across the road in front of our new road that we now established. Uh-oh, Dan. What happened here now, Dan?
Oh, we're okay?
No.
My laptop doesn't like that picture.
The property owner. I'll continue to speak a little bit. In 2011, after we had these types of issues, the Transportation Committee and myself decided that something needed to be done. So in an effort to try to establish what we're going to do, we had hired Ayers and Associates to help us with a feasibility study to give us some different options. Bringing in the third party to give us those options is going to give us a little teeth to what we wanted to present, because there is going to be, as you'll see, as we hope we can see later on in the slide presentation, that there's going to be some affected property owners that were set up differently than what we were going to have for a road. How you coming there, Dan?
I'm gonna try and reopen it for you, Greg. Okay, you know what? I'm a problem solver.
I have a question about has that road ever been moved back away from the?
Go ahead, son.
There was several of those moves, but they were all real short. It was just a short distance, what they could afford to do at that time.
Oh, I see.
Go back to you were on slide 13, I think. So if you go back there, it should be good.
Nope.
Go on more.
It would have been the pictures of some of the technology.
Go back to 16. It looks like it should be okay there.
What Ayers did is they provided us with a couple of different alternatives, and I don't believe those are going to show up on here. This is, if I go back, no. Okay, I can explain them. The alternatives, and it's hard to visualize, but we were going to create a county trunk that followed up the section line that would be in this area or coming up here. We'd have followed up and built a little town road that would have serviced these driveways in here, because as you can see, where the revetment failed, all those driveways and those houses were facing the lake. So what we're proposing is taking this and flip-flopping it to the other side. You can sense there a little bit of consternation that these people were going to have. So we went through the proposals. The Transportation Committee didn't particularly care to go follow the section line. One, it was a little bit more expensive, and then the township that was going to have to take over this frontage road here didn't really necessarily want to take on any more road responsibility. So they wanted to keep us involved in it. So ultimately, we decided to bring the curves in a little bit softer. They came up in here, and we kept it a county trunk, but in order to give it that town feel and town road feel, we made it a 45, which I was a little reluctant to do. If you're going to build a new road, you want to build it to carry traffic. However, we were sensitive to what they wanted in that area. I got to catch my slides up here. Just give me a second. After 3 or 4 different proposals, as I mentioned, the committee had selected the proposed area that they wanted to put the road. And up until that point, we were having many conversations with the town board and the affected residents. And, you know, there was a lot of issues going back and forth. The landowners knew something had to happen. They just didn't want that to happen. They wanted revetment all the way along. We were probably talking, you know, several millions of dollars, if not tens of millions of dollars. So ultimately, we move forward. The properties, all the properties that are along here, elected one spokesperson. Hi, Dan, I don't know. Well, I'll just catch up. The one spokesperson was the largest property along the project. He was the farmer, and what was interesting about that is that he was involved in the same conversations back in the early 80s when the county wanted to do it at the original, at one other time. And at that point, it wasn't a very easy thing to swallow for them either. But ultimately, they agreed, and we agreed.
Put it outside of the slideshow, I think you'll be able to see it. If everyone can see that okay? You guys kind of see that? So we'll just do it that way.
So if I back up,
Hold the projector back a little bit, maybe?
There you go.
Is that better?
I won't be able to move it then, I doubt.
Stay up, Dan.
Can you get back to slide 17? Okay, as I mentioned, the property owners weren't very happy, and one of the reasons was because the 50-foot driveways they had currently today were going to turn into 600 and 700 feet long. So it wasn't easy, and we had all the questions: are you going to plow my driveway? Are you going to buy me a new plow? What about my snow blower? That type of thing. And with the road being between them and the lake, they always had the comfort of us being there to fix whatever was going to happen. I need to step to the next slide.
Dairyland Drive.
Yes, which is blank again, Dan.
I'm sorry. Hey, looks like a nice view.
Dairyland Drive was our next challenge. It's 9 miles that connects the northern part of Sheboygan County to the southern part of Manitowoc County, and it's a town road. But it started out as the State Highway 141, which was a concrete piece of section that was 24 feet wide of concrete. I only have 5 minutes left. I'm only 3 minutes into my presentation. This isn't going to be good for you, Bruce.
We'll let it go a little longer because of the slide.
All right. Well, anyway, I can close this up pretty quick. We had one township on Dairyland Drive that was the owner of 6 miles of concrete road. That's 24 feet wide, 9 inches thick, besides the fact of having 130 feet of right-of-way. So it was a massive, nice straight stretch. And then the other ones all had about a mile piece of that. Well, this particular township that had the 6 miles only had 407 residents in it. Very small budget. They weren't a very progressive, they don't want a lot of development in their area, so they were challenged. I mean, in order to fix that road the right way, they were looking at a $2.5 million investment. So what had happened was, after we made our decision, when I go back to the other slide of showing the bluff, one of the property owners contacted former Senator Joe Lipom and said, "Hey, Joe, you know, there's a huge road here that should be treated as a county trunk, but it's a town road. And then we got this county trunk LS that should be more of a local road instead of a county highway. Is there anything you can do for us?" So Joel kind of contemplated this, kicked it around, listened to the guy's idea, and said, "You know, if I can find you some funding, maybe we could work this out." So we're already into the design of our new road. Joel calls me up, "Greg, can we work this out?" Well, needless to say, my hair was not this gray when I started in 2006. This caused a lot of problems because we had to go back and look at our design and redo things and work with the township on a different standpoint because they wanted to do something a little bit different as far as the curves. So, long story short, several meetings down in Madison, Joel was able to come up with half the cost of what this project was going to be, which I haven't mentioned yet, because we had to put the budgetary dollars towards that, and it was $8 million. $8 million to cover 9 miles of paving on Dairyland Drive, as well as another 9 miles of paving and some reconstruction on County Trunk LS. So I was invited to several meetings down in Madison, along with the town chairman from the town of Mosel, because he had the most to gain by making this type of jurisdictional transfer. In the meantime, now I had to go and start visiting with the other townships that really were kind of unaware of what we were trying to pull off here because they were never involved. First of all, they didn't have the Dairyland Drive project even budgeted, wasn't on their scope. So if you want to hit the next slide. That was me before and after. It's like 60% black there, and then it's, you know, it just drops off after. So this is the way, if you go to that slide right there, Dan, that you're on. Next slide. This is kind of how we felt. You know, we went up the lakeshore saying, okay, this is what we're proposing. I know you don't have this budgeted, but we need X amount of dollars in order to get this done. So we established those dollars. I visited with their town boards. Some of their residents had called me. So the breakdown was, it was $8 million investment, $4 million coming from the state, $3 million coming from Sheboygan County, and then $1 million of that project was going to be divided up between the affected municipalities, which was the town of Sheboygan, town of Mosel, town of Centerville, and the village of Cleveland, and Manitowoc County. So we have multiple jurisdictions that we're going to be working with, not to mention working with the state, and then we had to throw in the city of Sheboygan at the end. So it was very multiple. Next slide, Dan. This is just a copy of what we went through with the jurisdictional transfer. Our corporation council had supplied that to each of the municipalities so that they could work off of that as a boilerplate or a template in order to make sure that everybody's needs were met at the end of the day. If they were gonna, we were fortunate enough to give up a park that we no longer have to maintain. We were fortunate enough to give up 2 bridges that are now on the town system. So the county benefited by doing that, and will in the future. However, the town now has to take over those responsibilities, but they understood that going into it because we had made this type of agreement that everybody was aware of what they were going to be accepting. Next slide. Yep. So, given what I just all went through, you got I-43, which is right here, you got Dairyland Drive, which is in the red, and now you got LS. So you got all these 3 major roads, all heading to the north, running parallel to each other. The other benefit that we gained by taking over Dairyland Drive, I think, is not for maybe my generation, but the next generations, is that it is still, at this point, a major collector. So it has the ability to get federal funds in order to be improved in the future if that kind of work stays there. I'll go into the scope a little bit, and I'll try to get this finished up. So what we did, the scope of the work was County Trunk LS from Mayflower, which is just north of Sheboygan. That was, there was 8 inches of asphalt, 8 to 10 inches of asphalt, depending upon where you were. We milled off 4 inches, pulverized the rest, and then we repaved it and put 4 inches of new asphalt down, 28 feet wide. The revetment area, which I pointed out before, that was a complete reconstruction offline. I mean, that was, we took everything and moved it to the west of the home, so we put an all-new sub-base, aggregate, asphalt, new ditches, new culvert pipes. You can go to the next slide. That's a picture of us milling there. This is some paving that was occurring at the same time. Yep. This is just our trucks dumping the gravel for the, so we for the new road, we put a new sub base in, 16 inches of new base aggregate and 4 inches of asphalt, and that's also 30 feet wide of pavement going through that new area. You can go to the next slide. Just to give you a little bit of background, there was over 70,000 tons of asphalt that was spread between these 2 projects, and 150,000 tons of aggregate. So that's a lot of stuff, and it spanned a lot of miles. It's all in one corner of our county, but it took care of a lot of problems for the future. Next slide. This is just a picture of Antigo Hammer. As I mentioned, that was a concrete cross-section on Dairyland Drive. So we smashed that out. This is a big hammer that came in, took 8 feet wide, breaking that concrete down to about 3 inches minus. What we did then is we put a 4-inch layer of crushed aggregate, gravel over the top of that, and then 4 inches of asphalt over the top of that. That gravel in between gave it a nice drainage section, plus a little cushion between the old concrete and the new asphalt. Along with that, on Dairyland Drive, we also fixed up some intersections, made some safety improvements. So altogether, we built 2 pieces of road that should give the county 25-plus years of service on at least throughout the paving portions of it. The reconstruction, we're going to get a lot more years out of that. You can see the alignment of our new road. Comes down here, straight down here. Not straight. There's nothing straight about this road anymore, but that was by the town's privy. We dropped the speed limit to 45 miles an hour because these residents all were concerned about, once you get new asphalt widened up, everybody's going to get going on this. And this is where the old road was. So we just gave ourselves probably 150 years for our road anyway. The houses in between there, that could be a challenge for them. They understood that going into it. Our old road was there by easement, so it was actually their property. We just had the easement, so right now we're in the process of giving them that back. Once that's done, we no longer, nor the town, will have any more responsibility along that bluff. I think the end result gave us a lot of good years, satisfied the property owners. I mean, they got a lot of good things out of it. They got their 600 and 700 feet driveways paved at no cost to them. The kind of neat part for the township, which is not a very growing or they don't want to grow, but what happened was when we bought right away on this project, usually when you separate property and buy it off, that property loses value. These people gain value by 20 to 30% because we took the road out in between their house and the lake. So the next problem they're gonna have, or the town's gonna have, is when these people come in and get reassessed. So, but that's no longer my issue. Couple questions.
What's that spot there on the lower right there? Isn't that kind of pricey real estate there?
Right here, yep, this is where the PGA was just held, yeah. Another question?
What did you do along the block? Did you just leave it?
We just left it.
Didn't shore it up or?
Well, the only area that we tried to fix was the area where it did settle, where that revetment was. That was part of our agreement with that property owner. One of the pictures I had in there was our bulldozer down on a 2-to-1 slope trying to push that back up. It wasn't a very good situation. It was the first time I've ever seen a 25-year operator put on a seatbelt to go down that slope. And he got it done, and to the satisfaction of the property owner. So we everybody's happy. We tried to put in as much erosion matting as we possibly could to hold what was there, but we'll see. The future's going to tell the story. Yes, sir.
Did the property owners have to set the easement on the old LS?
At this point, they will, yeah, because it's actually, the easement is going to be, I'm not exactly sure how it all works, but when we sign off, we sent it to the township, and the township's going to be getting those easements taken care of or vacated.
What part did you go up?
Repeat. There's a, I don't know what the exact name of it is. It's right on the north end of the township of Boygan. And, yep. So we had to do some paving for them, and we fixed it up for them decent, so.
Before we move on to our final speaker, which is Bruce Stelzner, just want to let you know that the app, our conference app, in the past we've handed out different surveys. I think you're looking for them just a little bit ago. But on that app is where the surveys are. They're being done electronically. So if you'd like to comment on this presentation or anything you want, go into that app and that information is available for you.
Thanks. Let's give Greg a round of applause. Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate how you can how he can wing it like that when you get the electronic things going on. I think he did a good job of that. And one thing that us commissioners are always looking for is we're asked about reducing costs, increasing revenues, like we're talking about at the federal level. But people forget about the third one, and that's changing the size of the box. You move a jurisdictional transfer, maybe that road is best served being a town or a city or a village rather than a county or a state. That's another dance we get involved in, that sometimes it brings the issue closer to the hearts of those that need to be. And that's where these jurisdictional transfers get ishy. but they're very valuable in what we do and what we do for you. So with that, Bruce Stelzner is going to talk about Everyday Counts, a federal initiative. Bruce?
Thanks, Tim. I guess I'm batting cleanup here, and I got about 15 minutes, maybe less, for a half-hour presentation. So we'll try to do this in fairly short order. Okay.
Oh, it disappeared.
I guess we have technical problems.
Oh, you know what? I know what the problem is.
We still have technical problems. There we go. How many here have heard about the Everyday Counts program? Well, a few of you. Federal Highways, back a couple of years ago, pulled together an initiative to look at how you streamline and how you deliver highway projects, address the challenges, and presented by limited budgets. And so the Everyday Counts initiative is a state-based model to identify and rapidly deploy proven but underutilized innovations to shorten project delivery processes, enhance roadway safety, and reduce congestion and improve environmental sustainability. How it works is that innovations are selectively, collaboratively by stakeholders, which involves us as counties, as part of the stakeholders in the federal highway model. And it looks to, throughout 2-year deployment cycles, look for specification, best practices, lessons learned, and relevant data are shared among the stakeholders through case studies, webinars, and demonstration projects. And so the Everyday Counts initiatives began in 2011 and 2012, and that was the Everyday Counts 1. And there was a number of initiatives, and you can see them on the screen there. I did have a handout on the back, so if you grabbed one of the PowerPoint handouts, you can probably just follow along as well. We're just going to kind of skip through that so I can save some time. Again, in 2002, or Everyday Counts 2 in 2013 and 2014, the initiative came out with probably another 10 or 12 initiatives or innovative technologies that we can look at in terms of the Everyday Counts. And then just lately, in 2015-2016, so a program that we're in today, Everyday Counts 3 came out, and there's again another dozen or so technologies and innovative improvements that are used in the program. And so what I wanted to do was to highlight just a couple of the technologies that we use today from a county perspective. And so out of those 3 biennium of programs, we have Safety Edge, we have warm mix asphalt, we have GRS bridges, we have high friction surfaces, we have a local certification for federal aid projects, we have railroad coordination, data-driven safety analysis, and roadway diets. Unfortunately, we weren't able to load the latest PowerPoint, so we're probably not going to talk too much about roadway diets because I don't have a drawing up here to talk about it. With Safety Edge, and if you can see right along here, you can see that there's a degreed angle in terms of the paving. And so if you have a PowerPoint handout, you might see that clearer. But there is a sloped edge, and that's what a safety edge is. And so safety edge address the pavement edge drop-off on highways. It's been identified to many serious crashes, including fatal collisions. To mitigate vertical drop-offs, Federal Highways advocates installing safety edge on pavements during paving or restructuring projects. This technology allows drivers who drift off highways to return on the pavement safely. Roadway departures unbelievably account for over half of the fatal crashes. So as we do the analysis, safety analysis on what's the cause of fatal crashes, it's usually because there's a drop shoulder and it's overcorrection of oversteering, trying to get back onto the roadway surface. And so what Safety Edge does is provide that little bit of a
a little bit of an angle, again, on the paving surface, and then you shoulder up along that edge. That allows that driver, the operator of the vehicle, to have some opportunity to make a correction and get back onto the roadway. The next one we'll talk about is warm mix asphalt. Warm mix asphalt is, again, another technology. It's replacing hot mix asphalt. It's a generic term for a variety of technologies that allow producers of hot mix asphalt to lower temperatures in which the material is mixed and placed on the road. Is a proven technology that can reduce paving costs. It can extend the paving season. It can improve asphalt compaction, allows asphalt mix to be hauled longer distances, improves the working conditions of the materials. It's a lower temperature, so it has a lower cost than hot mix asphalt. In some instances, it has better performance than hot mix asphalt, and it's also environmentally better than hot mix asphalt as well. So again, warm mix asphalt is the current technology that's out there, has a little less expense than hot mix. The next one we'll talk about is GRS bridges. The GRS bridge is a instead of using a conventional bridge support technology with abutments and with poured abutments, it uses geosynthetic reinforced soils and an integrated bridge design system that uses alternative layers of compacted granular fill and fabric sheets of geotextile. And so as you look at the picture here, you can see in this area, it almost looks like block work. Well, it really is. And so each one of these blocks are hand-laid, could be hand-laid by your own highway crew, and they could potentially build a bridge. And so these hand-laid blocks have soil compaction behind them at each layer, and then they also add a fabric to it. And so what you're doing is you're actually building an abutment with blocks and soil compacted with materials. And so it's a little different technology. It reduces construction time and cost. Costs are reduced 25 to 60% from conventional construction methods. They're easy to build with common equipment. The materials are easy to maintain because they have fewer parts than a typical bridge does. It's a flexible design that can be modified in the field for unforeseen site conditions, including unfavorable weather conditions. And so again, GRS bridge is one of the innovative technologies out of the Everyday Counts program. Another one is high friction surfaces. And so as you look at the picture here, you can see this gray area. The gray area is the high friction surface, and it's typically used on curves. And so as you're driving on a curve, you're looking to have a little better handling of that vehicle. So maintaining the appropriate amount of pavement friction is critical for safe driving in locations where drivers may brake excessively, for example, going around curves, down hills, or steep grades. When approaching an intersection, the roadway surface can become prematurely polished, reducing pavement friction and allowing vehicles to skid when drivers brake. Drivers may also be speeding or distracted, contributing to high crash rates in critical conditions. Road surfaces can also reduce pavement friction, cause skidding and hydroplaning. And so the high friction surfaces, again, that rocky area in here is a special rock that's used with a special adhesive on top of the old pavement that allows for better control of vehicles. So again, if you have areas where you have high runoffs, if you have hydroplaning, if you have areas where it's very difficult to be able to control a vehicle, again, a lot of that's on curves. This type of material is something you can use to help mitigate some of that. Another one of the initiatives that are out there are local certification for federal aid projects. To aid local public agencies through the complexities of federal aid program requirements and processes for establishing and administrating federal aid projects, a three-pronged strategy has been developed to assist these local agencies. First, to improve federal aid projects administered by local public agencies and mitigate the potential for noncompliance. State transportation agencies have developed certification and qualification type programs. These programs are for the criteria for local public agencies to ensure that the LPA is certified or qualified to manage their projects using federal aid. There is some benefits to doing it. You have an opportunity to control and manage your own project through the federal aid design process, saving you time, effort, and money. There are four local public agencies in the state that are certified to deliver their own federal aid projects. Chippewa County, my county is one of them. Waukesha County, is there anybody here from Waukesha County? Waukesha County, you're certified to do that. The city of Milwaukee is certified to deliver their own federal aid projects. And the village of Cronenwetter in Marathon County, so if there's anybody here from Marathon County, you have a village in Marathon County that's certified to deliver their own federal aid projects. So again, it's a way to deliver projects through the federal aid process. Your highway department can become certified to do that and deliver projects, again, through your own management of the project, saving you time, effort, and money in delivery of projects. And so those are out there, accessible and available to you. How am I doing on time, Tim? The next one is railroad coordination. I'm sure everybody here has railroad going through their county, and you've had coordination issues with railroads on construction projects. I know we do have them in Chippewa County. We're one of the hotbeds of the frac sand industry. We have rail cars loading and going all the time in Chippewa County, so our roadways are in need of improvement, especially around some of those rail corridors, and developing memorandums of understanding with the railroads so that we can effectively deliver our transportation projects and improve railroad crossings. They're very important to us. And so there's an Everyday Counts initiative that helps you as a local public agency coordinate with the railroads to deliver your local programs. Some of the benefits for doing that include improved communications, and it's an expedited delivery project process, and it can also reduce project costs. Data-driven safety analysis is another one of the initiatives, and as you look at that initiative, you start to look at looking at what causes traffic crashes. Again, here's a roadway runoff, and it takes a look at just a basic review of curves. And so as you have the copy of the PowerPoint, you can take a look at that in detail. Data-driven safety analysis builds upon decades of work and collaboration to promote the integration of safety performance into all highway investment decisions, broader implementation of quantitative safety analysis so that it becomes an integral component of safety management and project deployment decision-making will lead to better targeted highway investments resulting in fewer fatal and serious injury crashes on our nation's roadways. And so what we do in Chippewa County is we do an analysis of all the high traffic crash areas in the county, and we use a program called hazard elimination or the HSIP program. It's available through federal highways. It's a 90-10 program to help fund some of the hazardous safety improvements that are needed in terms of your county. So as you go through the process, you can certainly use trash crash analysis and do the data analysis and a predictive analysis in terms of determining where your crashes are, how to mitigate it, and how to fund it. And so again, another innovation through federal highways. I do want to talk a little bit briefly about roadway diets. For those of you who have the PowerPoint, it's in the printed presentation. It's not on our present slides because we've had, again, some technical problems with our laptop. Thanks, Dan. So I do want to talk a little bit about roadway diets, something I should go on, but again, the roadway diet actually takes a look at, and if you have the PowerPoint, you can take a look at the slides. But what it does is it looks at how you make improvements to your local infrastructure, especially targets 4-lane roadways where you have 2 lanes of traffic undivided. And so it looks at how you can manage that system better. And so one of the things that they do is they look at taking that 4-lane county facility down to a 2-lane county facility, but they use a center turn lane. And the turn lane is for right or left turns. The process stays within the identified pavement prism, so your right-of-way stays the same. It has minimal impact to right-of-way. What it does is it's a traffic calming measure. It helps reduce speeds in high crash areas, and it also provides better access and a safer movement for the roadway. And so what they do is they form down the center turn lane, and It's called, it's actually, there's an acronym for it, it's called a twiddle. And so this twiddle actually functions a little bit better than, in some cases, in a 4-lane roadway. So again, it's something that you can take a look at, something that you should consider when you're looking at doing the improvements to a 4-lane facility, especially where it's undivided. And then finally, for more questions, if you have any questions on the Everyday Counts initiative, there's the website is fhwa.gov/everydaycounts. All the initiatives that we talked about today, plus all the other ones, are listed on that webpage. And so it's a great resource and material for you. And then finally, if your commissioner, if you as a transportation committee member or highway committee member have any questions, you always can give me a call, and I'll certainly work your way through the process. So with that, I'll turn it over back to Tim, and Tim can wrap it up.
Thank you, Bruce. With 5 minutes to spare. Good job, Bruce. So in this 5 minutes, I'd like to entertain any questions for any three of our panelists. Yes, sir.
I have a question on the GRS bridges. Would it be more cost-effective to use this method instead of replacing 2 metal pipes
Want to replace?
to replace a concrete box culvert?
Repeat the question.
If you're looking, okay, the question was, is it more cost-effective to utilize this if you're replacing a box culvert or twin arch pipes? It might be. It very well might be. Again, it's a process that you can do with your own crews. It's a process that's very low cost. It does involve some handwork, but again, your crews can build the abutments through a GRS process. So it's an interesting process to do. We actually have one bridge in Chippewa County that's been done like that. The state did a pilot project about 4 or 5 years ago on Highway 40. There's a YouTube video on it on the DOT's website. And so if you have an interest in it, go to the DOT website, Google Highway 40 Bridge, Chippewa County. You'll see a YouTube video of the construction of a GRS bridge.
Is there a problem with the length of the bridge using that method?
Yeah, typically they have to be a single span. So short bridge, less than 50 foot. Yes, sir.
We are fortunate to have the Canadian National go through our company. And they came through last year and started repairing some of the crossings. And we have one that, I forget the exact count, but it's a state road that we have probably 75 to 80 Walmart trucks cross every day along all the other traffic. And in 75 feet, the railroad bed raised 18 inches. They didn't taper back. They only tapered back to where they thought they had one. And it took, I had to get involved with our state representatives, and I got involved with the railroad commissioner, and the county finally, we decided on our own, we're fixing it, and then because we had trucks, and we had cars and trucks that were, if you weren't aware of it, and the railroad wouldn't let us put danger or bump signs up because it was in their right of way. So if you're ever working on something, it would be nice to work that out with those people that if you're going to do this, because we have like 4 intersections, and there's one that's still a hazard on the town road that the town's been fighting with them to try to get it tapered back. They don't think they have to do it.
Yeah. Again, railroad coordination is really critical in terms of our county roads, in terms of local roads. I do a whole nother presentation on heavy trucking and those kind of things. I did one at the last conference on heavy trucking and the rules and requirements that are out there for being able to make roadway improvements under heavy trucking conditions. So those are all critical type of things, and working with the railroad is absolutely in your advantage if you can get them to the table and work with them.
Okay, one more question, ma'am.
From Ohio, but been here longer. You had the asphalt going in a slant, and you say it's safer to get back up on the road. You showed the asphalt, is that a
Safety edge, the slant?
safety edge, yes. I've always wondered, living in the state of Wisconsin now, why you don't have berm. In Ohio, we have a lot of, you have a road and you have like a bigger section of the berm where you can pull off. Here you have the edge, 6 inches in the ditch. So I just wondered why all the
Yeah, there's, in terms of roadway safety, there's all kinds of things in terms of looking at roadway design, roadway improvements, and sometimes you have higher areas and lower areas that you have to deal with. Ditches clearly are how county highways function for the majority of the time. They don't typically have storm sewer systems and that. So as you look at how the safety edge meets the gravel and it goes down into the ditch, it actually provides a bevel edge on that driving lane, or just on the shoulder of the driving lane, that allows motorists an opportunity to correct in case they do have roadway runoff. It also does preserve the shoulders a little bit more. So safety edge is something that can be looked at. A safety edge adds about 1% to the cost of the project. And so if you have a $100,000 project, you'd add about $1,000 to the project to put safety edge on it. So it's a very low cost improvement to do.
Thank you, Bruce. And I know Bruce, when he was talking about that friction stuff, we put the epoxy down, and it was really cool. You got the guys out there with nails on the bottom of their shoes, and does that look funny? Like a bed of nails upside down. But that's quite costly with the epoxy versus other types of glue. With that, let's give our panelists a very good round of applause, and thank you. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay and the conference. And listen up and absorb well. Thank you.